Well, welcome everyone to Unscrew the News. It's Bruce Scholl, and I have two fabulous guests with me. One of them is a returning guest. It's Dave Weiss, and our new guest is Jaron from Jeranism. And I had seen these two rip apart the whole globe theory and the NASA fraud that we see on the news today. So I'm really grateful to have both of you on here today to again expose some of this crap that we're dealing with and tell us why we actually are interested in flat Earth and the deception that we see today. So welcome to Unscrew the News, guys.
Thanks for having me, Bruce.
Thanks for having me. Nice to be here. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So we had Dave on last time. I had a guest with me, and it was fantastic to delve into this and to figure out. So in the process of that, I've talked to a number of friends of mine, pilots, and obviously we've gone down the rabbit hole per se, right? And come up with some other questions. And one of them that I really want to get to is. Now, I've gone through most of your website and I have not found this on there. So I was hoping that maybe you could tell me whether someone has done this experiment or not. But a lot of the stuff that you do is you compare globe stuff to the flat stuff. And I wanted to know if anybody has compared weather patterns. You know how we watch it on the satellites, blah, 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 and we see the clouds rolling around on the globe. Has anybody compared that to the flat to see actually what is going on? Because, you know, you've compared the flights and the emergency landings, which blew my mind away, by the way. And I still have nightmares about it. I'm still thinking about it. But this whole weather pattern thing is one of the things that I was really questioning.
Well, right here.
I'll take that one to start. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just showing on the app. Jaron's going to let you talk about it. I just pulled it up. Go ahead.
No, it's great. I just was going to say Dave's got this on lock. But yeah, when I first found this map, which was a AE map, an azimuthal equidistant on the site that let you see wind patterns, let you see ocean currents. When we used to set this thing to AE and be able to look at it, it's just so much better than the globe model. The globe model, you've got winds going in every different direction. I'll go ahead and let you take it, Dave. I don't know what you have recorded there.
Yeah, no, I'm just showing this is actually a live weather map. When you we're taught about the jet stream, that it swoops up from the Gulf, it goes all the way up to Lake Greenland, and it goes all the way down. And when you convert that onto a flat Earth map, it makes beautiful circles. Right now, the wind patterns are a little messed up, but you know, in a couple of days they'll change. They're pretty consistent, but they change. You have these counter rotating winds. Out here, these pink and orange that's 200 plus mile an hour winds. And then in here, they actually rotate in the opposite direction. Well, today they're going actually in the same direction, except this band is going this way. This is why flights sometimes take longer, take shorter. Sometimes the long flights from Santiago to Australia are canceled. The direct flights, they're like, wait a minute, we're not going to be able to make it in a time and trick them. Therefore, we're going to change you to a 26-hour connecting flight. So these, when you look at the beautiful rings of the flat Earth weather, it's clear as day. Here, this is different altitude where you can see what's going on here.
So this is live. This is actually this is what you're seeing now.
This is live. Yeah. Whoops.
Not recorded. Okay.
Not recorded.
What's crazy is we actually had to have somebody build this site, because originally there was a website online that had this set up. But one day we went there and all of a sudden the map was gone. The one map that showed the AE in the middle with the North Pole in the middle. And then we wrote to him and asked him what happened. And he just said, I didn't want people to put so much importance on the North Pole, so I took it out of there. But really, he must have had somebody tell him to do it.
Right.
Right. And they have a whole bunch of different maps on there, right? You can look at it.
There's like 10.
Yeah, 10 different maps, but they took off the one that makes sense.
The one that looked at everything's
really.
Yeah.
Live, can you go up higher, Dave, in winds or no?
I can go at 10 HPA. It's not so spectacular today, but it's not bad.
And then what's the next one, like 250?
What's that? Go down one?
What's it, 250? Yeah, HPA 250 or.
And what are you showing? What are the differences here?
I'm showing
pressure levels, so it kind of gets you an idea of where your altitude is. 250 HPA is about 32,000 feet. 500 HPA is going to be lower than that. It's going to be, and then surface is 1,000.
Yeah, so there's 500. But quite often, it's just these beautiful, almost perfect circles. But things change over time, from day to day. But they're very consistent winds that the airlines use for their flights.
Can you show a globe on there or no?
No. Can I? I don't know. This is
this should be an option, maybe.
Bob wins.
Yeah, down at the bottom it says projection.
Projection. Okay, globe.
Yeah, and if you notice, so we just saw concentric circles, and then I see what you're saying, Dave. It's not as bad as it usually is. Usually there's all kinds of nonsense going on. But one of the things that's a problem is that all the winds seem to be going to the west, towards the west, right? Is that what it shows, Dave? Go up to 250.
Well, no, it's going east. I'll change the.
I can't see what direction it's doing, so I can't.
So 250 is a little messy there.
So that's kind of messy, yeah. I mean, compared to what you saw on the other map where everything was certain. Yeah. But I mean, it's still crazy that they've got these jet streams down in the south that go about, anywhere from 200 to 300 miles per hour. And they go in the same direction that the Earth supposedly spins, which is just insane. Imagine you're spinning a basketball in your hand and somehow the air is attached to it as it's spinning, which would be a problem in the first place. But then on top of that, the air that's attached to it is actually spinning faster than it, 300 miles per hour in the direction it's spinning. It's just insane.
Wow. And it's probably perfectly calm on the ground.
Yeah, of course. We have still lakes, right? Still lakes, and everything's not sloshing around.
The water is not sloshing back and forth from one lake to another. Yeah, fantastic.
Rippling
no, that makes a lot more sense when you common sense says that the winds are going in a circle around there as opposed to on this marble as you call it.
Common sense says that this land that's holding this water and it's not moving. Look at the perfect reflection of these mountains, right? This is a body of water that's not spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, orbiting in an elliptical, speeding up and slowing down 66,000 miles per hour, chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour. This is a lake that is standing still, not moving at all, period.
Perfect. Now, one of the other things I'm hoping that this conversation is just, we're going to flow and we just go with whatever we feel like. But Jaron, one of the other things that I saw you talking with Sean about on a fairly regular basis was the NASA videos that you decimate by pointing out some of the I guess movie tricks that they use. Is there anything that's come up recently that you've pointed out?
Well, I'd say that, I don't watch them as much as I used to. I used to watch them almost kind of religiously because I felt like I'd be able to find a lot of mistakes, and we could. But then what happened with the SpaceX launch, which was the Falcon Heavy test launch where he launched the car, supposedly into space. Right. So on that particular live stream, we caught them changing their live stream. We actually have it, all the evidence that you need. I have videos up about it where they had a live stream that was played the first time through. And then days later or a day later, they were able to replace scenes inside that video. And it still says live streamed. So, on YouTube, if you change your comment, it says edited. You can't change your comment without it saying edited. But these people were actually allowed. Why would be a private space agency is allowed to do something that there's no other channel that even has that ability. If you ever used YouTube, you know that once you've uploaded or once you've gone live and the live stream processes, there is no way to go in and add scenes or anything like that. But SpaceX was able to do that. So once I saw that, I just realized that no matter when these guys say live or whenever, I mean, the chances that it is live is rare. And then also they can just change it. So I started watching it a lot less, but we still find things all the time that there's, how could you not? It's pretty obvious what they're doing. They do a mixture of things. So it's, one thing I've heard lately, though, is people saying, some guy brought me a piece of footage the other day and says, I can't see a cut here. And I'm like, what do you mean? He says, well, I don't know where the cut is. And I'm like, okay, why are you looking for the cut? You're not going to find the cut. Like, we are way past that now, right? I don't know if you've ever seen that. Who's the group, Dave, that sings the song in the plane where they're bouncing around? Okay, go or something?
Okay, okay, go. Something like that.
Yeah. And anyway, they're, thank you. They are basically flying in a 0G flight, or what they call the parabolic flights, and they do this whole music video, but you can't find a cut in the music video. And they even tell you, oh, we did 8 different, parabolic maneuvers.
It was like 50. They spliced them all together.
50, yeah.
You couldn't even tell.
They spliced them all together. You don't see any edits. So, I mean, we just get used to this idea that, if somebody made a video faking space, that we would be able to find the edits or the cuts. And that's just not, necessarily true, not anymore. Now, if you want to find the fake stuff, this is why I used to do a show, or still do, called the NASA Comedy Hour, is I would just watch the stuff from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It's so bad.
Okay, so something recently happened, and I don't know if you have a comment on it, but I'm hoping that you guys have already debunked this. But when Elon had one of his most recent rocket launches, some people were saying that the rocket hit the firmament. Is that something that you guys are aware of?
I'll give you my my 2 cents on it, and flat earthers and globe earthers are all going wild on this one. But if you watch that rocket with discerning eyes, it's not even as high as the clouds when it burns out. I don't see it going much higher than the clouds. Yeah, it exploded. I think it was all a show. This is my opinion. Maybe it was something went wrong and it exploded, but my opinion is there's no such thing as large rockets going into space. They're helium, rocket assisted blimps. That's all they are, and they go very, very slow when you actually look at them. So if that hit the firmament, let's say the firmament is only 72 miles up, that's pretty high. How would you be able to see what we were shown? That explosion to me didn't look much higher than the clouds. Jaron, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I've been to an air show a couple times, and I used to live underneath one. And they would, these planes would come and they would zoom by your house, and they'd be pretty high, and they would come by and be gone. This is how fast a plane moved, and it would just be gone. It went too far. And I'm talking about in a minute, there's no way you'd see it. It's going, and that plane's going how fast? 600, 500. So,
yeah, right.
So the chances that you're standing at this event and the thing takes off and it's lumbering up there really slow and it tips over, and then everybody watches it for like a long time, and they just keep watching it. And I'm like, well, and then they show on the screen, it's going up crazy, 9,000 miles per hour or something. And so I don't believe any of the numbers that they give you on the screen. This is what they do well, is, put those numbers up there, and then everyone just assumes, well, it must be true, right? I mean, it's got to be true. Why would they be lying to us about it? So
Elon's tweet, still hard to believe Starling is real. Does it say Starling?
Starship.
Starship is real. It's still hard, and then Michael Strahan, when he allegedly went up, he goes, it was unreal. That's his whole quote. It was unreal. I call that revelation of the method, or just poking us in the eye. But just use your discernment here. Okay, this is Elon Musk's rocket that's going to go to Mars. Look at the smoke coming off of here. Look how fast it's moving. If you had a smoky rag and you held it out at your car on the highway going 50 miles an hour, would it look like this?
Not even.
It would be whipping by. That's at 50 miles an hour. And then somebody's filming this from the ground. How look at the angle. This thing is not even moving. It's barely moving. This thing is supposedly accelerating
sideways.
It exactly. Well, are the clouds moving? What is this? Right. So this is it now falling out of the sky. This is 10 tons, 50 tons. I forget what it is when it's empty. It's falling out of the sky, and somebody's underneath it filming it. Cool. Now look at this. Look at the smoke. Look at how fast the smoke's going. Is this going 10 miles an hour? 7,000 miles an hour? It's moving very slowly. But again, how are they filming this? Where is this being filmed from? I don't think it's moving. I think this is just sped up and the clouds are moving. And watch this crazy landing. This crazy landing is insane. Let me jump forward a little bit. So this thing is falling. The engines are going to turn on and it's going to go upright. Somehow magically, it's going to go upright. Now, if someone's skydiving next to this, maybe, because this thing is falling, but somehow they got a perfect side shot of it. It makes no sense. It's impossible. So wait, I'm just jumping forward here. So it's going to land upright. All right. So here goes. The 3 engines are going to turn on, and it's going to magically go up. They don't even show it going upright. So here it goes. So 3 engines went on. They go underneath it. Now watch. 2 of them are going to burn out. Up, out. Now you got what? Oh, now
my gosh.
Now it's just going to land upright. CGI smoke. and this thing is going to land upright and everyone's happy. And hey, and it looks like a penis. I'm sorry, it does.
Okay. I mean, isn't it? What is the Amazon? What is that guy's?
Jeff Bezos.
That looks Jeff Bezos. I mean, the blue penis, right?
Yeah,
oh God, Blue Origin.
Well,
and that was another one that's questionable because you got that girl too that was supposedly went up, that old lady, Wally Funk, I think her name is.
Yeah.
And she said that she couldn't see the curvature of the Earth, and she was supposedly 62 miles. So we always get these people who are like, could you see it at 40,000 feet? Could you see it at 120,000 feet? And then you get somebody who supposedly goes up to 62 miles and comes back and says she was upset because she thought she'd see the curvature of the Earth and didn't see it. 62 miles. I mean, that's what is that even? 62 times 5280.
And when you watch these,
it's a lot.
When
327,000 feet.
When you watch these rockets go off, they go up and they curve. This isn't even as high as the clouds, and it's already going down. No, it's going over the curvature of the Earth. No, it's not. How small is the Earth? Is it 10 miles around?
Right.
And so it's going right out into an area that you don't want to go in. It's the Bermuda Triangle, and it just goes out there. Now, this is a chemtrail. Why isn't that one curving? Why isn't that going over the curve of the Earth? That just shows you that this is going up, it's going down. It's a parabolic trajectory, just like a guy throws a football, goes up and it goes down. It's the same thing. It goes up, and I don't think it's even as high as the clouds, which isn't high at all.
Right.
So
now, one of the things I would love if you guys can explain it again, but one of the things that in that video that I was talking to you about before we hit record, that the people were asking all the pilots about lift, and I'm sure you probably know what I'm talking about, is did you have to make corrections for the curvature of the Earth, or are you flying directly straight ahead? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I mean, these guys will always use the same excuse that you get used to hearing: gravity, which is just a magic sauce of magic sauce, right? Because they can invoke it whenever. It's got no opposite, which there's nothing else like that. And really, they say there's no such thing as a perpetual energy machine, right? You can't have perpetual energy. There's got to be. But if you think about it, gravity, everything is. Pick up your pencil right now. It's forever pulling into itself, we're told. So it's got a force. It's somehow a perpetual energy making a miracle device that NASA
everything has gravity.
But everything has gravity. So therefore, everything is a perpetual, never-ending energy device. So they've been lying about that too. But of course, gravity doesn't exist. There is no pulling anything in this pencil except for the fact that it's got density, right? So it's going to go in the down direction. So that's basically all it is. Go ahead, Dave.
They want you to believe that, in an airplane flying 500 miles an hour, it has to drop a mile every 2 minutes just to follow the curve of the Earth. And they're like, well, they just set the thing down 1/2 a degree and it follows the curve of the Earth, and you wouldn't feel that. Cool story. But if you were on the SR-71 Blackbird that goes 2,300 miles per hour, it would have to drop down 80 stories every second. I think that's right. 80 stories a second. So think about that. 80 stories a second. So what would happen to the pilots and everybody on there? Wouldn't they just be plastered to the ceiling? 80 stories a second to follow the curve of the Earth.
And even
that's crazy.
The half degree that you talked about there at the beginning, Dave, is something that is known not to be the case. The planes actually angle their nose up. Their actually nose would be tilted up just a slight bit, and that's how you get the lift by the wind going underneath the wings. So they certainly don't point the nose down. They point it at the horizon or up. So it's just one of those things where they'll always make these little excuses. But really, in practice, any pilot will tell you, no, we fly flat and level to the horizon. Now, again, you're going to have people on the globe side say, oh, but the magic gravity sauce is reaching up and grabbing this plane and actually pulling it down with gravity. There you go, because you can see there that the Earth must be pulling down the plane, all directions. And if you are ever afraid of flying, because I used to be until I became a flat earther, and then all of a sudden I flew and was completely fine. And I think it's just not believing in that made me go, oh, okay, I get it now. The plane's flying. It's being operated by computers. It's not even being piloted by actual people like I used to think. So you really learn, and this is one of the things people are like, oh, well, if they're long flights, they would have to be longer. They would be going faster. It's like the pilots wouldn't know. The pilots didn't have any clue whether their plane's going, 400 or 600 or 700. They're just not going to know. Not when they're in the plane, unless you're talking about, oh, well, they've got dials and things. Yeah, of course. But we think that they're actually going longer distances and faster speeds. And I actually heard the other day, Joe Rogan and Elon Musk were talking, and Elon Musk got into this subject about planes. And he even said that the higher you go, the faster you go for the equal energy output as below that. So we're even being told, oh no, you get too high and there's not even air to fly anymore. No, Elon's saying you can get up into that 50,000 feet and even go faster. So they're probably moving planes in the south way faster and just not telling anybody.
People are like, a flight from United States to somewhere out Germany or whatever takes X amount of time, and then the same flight in the south takes the same amount of time. Well, the flight in the south, and it's twice the distance on the flight Earth map, it's going twice as fast. I mean, if I'm leaving Connecticut driving to California in my souped up whatever sports car, which I don't have, and my grandmother is driving her Datsun and she's only going to Salt Lake City, who's going to get there first? I'm going to get there first because I drive faster than her, right? Doesn't mean that it's a shorter distance. And people don't want to look at it. But this is how you have to believe planes fly, but there's a problem. Earth is spinning. So it has to do this crazy figure eight pattern. And there's a problem. I have a huge problem with this, okay? So to maintain a straight line, it has to do what we're seeing here. Now, right here, the surface of the Earth on the equator is moving over 1,000 miles an hour because it's making a circle just under 25,000 miles around once a day. It's moving 1,000 miles an hour. So when the plane's right here, it's moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour. But when it gets up here, like northern Alaska, it's only moving like 300 miles an hour because it's making a much smaller circle up here. So how does it change that sideways tangential speed to maintain its course? I mean, you can't fly over a ball, especially a spinning ball.
Unbelievable.
So you could just fly from America, fly right over the top, and then land in America. Just fly over it, and by the time
time you get there, it'll come around, and you land there. And like, oh, sorry, people. Damn it, we got to go the other way.
We didn't go anywhere. Didn't go anywhere.
So think about this. You're flying, and we're going to keep your point of view as you're always on the top of the world. So you're flying over the ball. So the stars that are not connected to the Earth or in the atmosphere, they're going to go up. These stars here that are in front of you are, when you get halfway down the ball, are going to be above you. Does that make sense? Follow that?
Yeah.
So as we're going, the stars are going to precess up because here are the stars. I'm looking at them, and as I go over, they're now above me.
Right.
They're above me. Simple. All right. So if I go here, hold on a second.
And would that not be the same no matter which direction you were going to?
No matter which direction you're going. So here's a flight from, I think it was Berlin to Brazil. And so it's going over the ball, and the pilot did a time lapse, and the stars are not going up. This is just when he turns a little bit, right? Google Earth, which we don't believe is real, it's just a simulation, tells you, hey, this is what you'll see. Stars processing up just like we showed you.
Right.
And this is what you're supposed to see. So the Google Earth that didn't have curvature until early 2000s, I think, and they added curvature to it when people started waking up, versus reality. Now, the trolls come out and go, well, that's because the Earth is spinning and it's negating it. Well, the pilot filmed it in both directions, and it would have to go twice as fast in the other direction. And it wouldn't negate it all the way unless you were flying, if it's spinning to the east, if you're flying west at the same twice the speed that you're going, then maybe you could it could
be standing still.
But when you go the other way, it would have to move twice as fast in the other direction. It's like,
right.
Yeah, but reality versus simulation globe nonsense.
Okay, now you've done a lot of research on this, Dave. So how did we get to this problem? Like, how did we get to this this hoax? Like, how did we get fooled into this? Does it go back all the way to Galileo when they were professing that we were on a globe?
Let me touch on that.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I was going to say, it seems that they did lie about all the stuff in the past, as far as Aristophanes and all this stuff. That was all added post hoc. It seems like to me that a lot of those stories, the burning of the Library of Alexandria, I think our history is all just basically told by some people in the 1600s, 1700s, if you want to call them that. So I think it's mostly since then. I mean, we were told that Christopher Columbus, that's what we were all taught, that he discovered America. And now they've changed that and say, oh, no, it's because some writer messed up or got it wrong. And so the oldest globe that we have is 1492, the same year supposedly that Columbus discovered the world was round. So isn't that a coincidence that the first globe that there's no older globe than 1492, which is insane because we're told in 275 BC that Eratosthenes figured out the circumference of the Earth. So you're telling me it took 1,700 years until somebody said, let's map the Earth on a ball, since it is one. So I think the whole stories that we're told are just fabricated. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, so you're talking about personally, you know, I think that these are all made up stories about all of these guys. They were teaching. If you ever saw my interview with Ruth, 102-year-old woman back in 2020, I was interviewing her about the World's Fairs, and she said that they taught her flat Earth in public school here in Connecticut back in the 1920s. And since then, we found people that said even in the 1950s they were teaching both because they didn't know. They were teaching could be flat, could be globe, and then you know, the Rockefellers took over the education system, which they made it the indoctrination system in the early 1900s, and they also, you know, made sure that schools were underfunded, so they didn't have any money. And then they would supply textbooks that, you know, if it cost them $50 to make each textbook, they would sell it to the school for $2. So nobody could possibly compete with, you know, hey, we got better textbooks. Well, you can't do it unless you, unless you can, you know, come up with a better price, and you just can't do it. You know, one of the things I say is go into Costco and go to the book section, and you'll find these beautiful, high quality, nice paper bound, gloss, embossed books, you know, this thick on the best paper, sewn back, amazing. Couldn't be any more high quality. Gigantic book on dinosaurs, $19. Right? There's no way, there's no possible way that anybody can make that for $19 and then sell it to Costco, you know, where they're going to mark it up. This is what they want you to have and treasure. They want you to be lost in this world, because we'll get into the because in a little bit. But I just wanted to touch on Eratosthenes. For those of you that don't know, Eratosthenes, he did his experiment where he said, oh, I could see the reflection of the sun on the bottom of a well. That means the sun's directly above me. Great deduction. True. And then he said, well, if I put a guy, I sent a friend 500 miles away, and I'm going to have him walk and count his steps to make sure he knows he's 500 miles away. And somehow we're going to be able to talk to each other. Maybe they had a long string and a cup, and they could talk, you know, pull it really tight and talk to each other. And they said at the same time, you know, here's Eratosthenes, no shadow. And then his buddy got a shadow, and he can measure the length of the shadow and then do some perfectly good math to figure out the circumference, the diameter of the ball. And they're like, well, that's great. And Eratosthenes assumed that all sun rays come in parallel. They all come in parallel, which is fascinating because nobody's ever seen parallel rays ever. No one ever sees parallel rays. You know, people, you know, if this is what parallel rays would look like, and no, that never happened. So the getting back to this, on a flat Earth with a small local sun, here's Eratosthenes, and here's his buddy, and it's the same angle, same shadow, do the same math. You can figure out the sphericity of this flat plane.
Right.
Yeah. So,
but he determined that it was round because of his arithmetic, is basically what you're saying.
Math is not reality. I mean, I could do some math to show you that in 4 days you're going to have $10 million in the bank, but we're going to start with the assumption that you have 1 million today, and we're going to double it every day until it's 10. So I made the assumption that you had $1 million in the bank. Yeah. So yeah, it's not happening.
Not happening.
Well, maybe it'll happen. Now, I don't want to jinx you and having $1 million in the bank, but if you have $1 million, please take it out of the bank.
And anybody can do this for themselves by just grabbing 2 items and putting them on your desk in front of you, and hold a flashlight above one of them, and you'll see that they have different shadows. Well, one underneath the flashlight has no shadow. The one that's kind of away from it has a shadow. Well, then, according to Aristophanes, all we need to do is do some math, and we'll figure out exactly how spherical your table is, even though you're sitting at it and know that it's a table. So this is how simple it is to debunk that, and yet it's the first thing anybody brings up. Well, what about the Greeks knew 2,000 years ago? No, they didn't know, because some guy did an experiment that we can do on our table and know that it's not a sphere. Then how are we going to give somebody credit and say, oh, well, he knew it was a sphere? Well, how? And then, I mean, here, even on this board here. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, back in the 80s, the show Cosmos came out with the wonderful Carl Sagan, billions and billions of stars. And he's showing you how, you know, Eratosthenes and his buddy, and he's like, the shadows are the same if the Earth is flat, but then he bends it and he shows you, well, look, the Earth must be a globe, because the only way to do it is to bend it. So no shadow and shadow. And then you can figure out by the length of shadow. Again, he's pre-assuming a ball.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, if he put that flat, I mean, the problem with that is going to be you're talking about a very close location, right? This very two sticks are right next to each other with a far away sun. We're saying that the sun is close to us. So, and then, that's the difference. If the sun is close to us, if you took a flashlight and put it right above one of those pillars there, well, that one's going to have no shadow and the other one's going to have a shadow. So they just, it's all trickery. It's all wizardry, basically. They're just fooling you, and you have a choice to believe them or not, but it's really shocking the amount of people, right? That like I say, we're not spinning and we're not flying 1.2 million miles per hour right now, and I'm crazy. I mean, does that make any sense to you? That if you, to be sane in this world, you have to believe men who tell you that right now you're flying through space, a vacuum, unimpeded on some giant ball of rock and water and magma and a liquid core and an iron core, and you're doing all that and flying through space at 1.2 million miles per hour, and you don't feel a thing. And so you're smart if you agree with the men telling you that that's what's happening. And if you're like me and say, no, I don't think that's happening, I don't think we're moving at all, I'm pretty positive of it, then you're a crazy person. That's the world that we live in.
Well, we're in 2023, and anybody that questions anything is canceled, as we know. I mean, it is insane. But why do we even care? Like, why are we caring that we're not on a globe? I mean, what does it matter now?
I think people should recognize we're being lied to, number one. And if they can't recognize that, then they probably shouldn't be watching this. But once you realize you're being lied to about one thing, then you kind of start to peel back the onion. And it might take a while for people to peel every layer of the onion. What is this? What is it? But if you go to flat Earth and you find out that, it kind of unpeels the onion all at once. All of a sudden, you recognize that everything that they told you about, you can't have conspiracies that are worldwide. You can't have conspiracies that are cross government. You can't have conspiracies that span years. You can't have conspiracies that it's always it's impossible. It's impossible. Once you realize it is possible, think of everything else they're lying about. And it's just the easiest one anyway. It should be the easiest one because they lie about things that we can check and test and go verify right here on Earth. So do we really think that they're telling us the truth about a place we can never go? No, that would be the first thing they would lie about.
Right. Dave or Jaron, whichever one of you has it, but now I think you guys talked about a flat Earth map that showed, and I think we talked about it before, Dave, was not aliens, but extraterrestrial. And that name was really specific because I think you said that outside of that Antarctica circle is extra lands, and that's how we use the word extraterrestrial. Or you think that that's what it means?
Well, so first, I want to say before we go over here, and I love going over here, is you don't need to speculate on anything to prove that the Earth is flat and stationary and there's no curvature. By the way, flat, the Earth is not flat. It's topographical plane. It's level. Water, the science of water proves that it's level, and the science of water proves that we're not moving. And all observations prove that we're not moving. So what is beyond the shoreline of Antarctica? That's a great question, and I sure want to know. But we have the Antarctic Treaty the Antarctic Treaty. Where am I going here? The Antarctic Treaty right here that happened after Admiral Byrd went out there and said that he found more land bigger than the United States, filled with resources that no human has ever set foot upon. That's interesting. Like, where is that land? Well, what do you mean it's past the South Pole? That would be over near Australia and Africa. But they haven't reported any extra land. And so what's he talking about? So the question is, what is out there? We want access to go out there. But let me run down a couple things here. We found some ships. So you can go on a ship tracking site, and you could see these ships all over the place. And we saw these ships way inside the shoreline of Antarctica, an active ship. Like, how does a ship get inside Antarctica? This one's 730 miles in. And 730 miles in, Google Earth tells us that's 1.9 miles higher than the ocean. How does a ship get in there? Was it a melted river? Well, that would mean he'd have walls on the side of him almost 2 miles high. That's pretty scary. And then we found another one. We found a whole bunch. This one's 905 miles, right? How does a ship get in there? So the question is, what is going on in there? Is the Earth maybe set up like this? Maybe this is where we live. Maybe this is what they say is we're not allowed to go beyond 60 degrees south. And maybe when they go from Santiago to Antarctica, they take you right here. What if they took you just to this island? Would you know that it's an island? would you know that it's not Antarctica? This is bigger than the USA, Mexico, and Canada doubled. It's bigger. So you don't know anything. You don't know anything. That's like pulling up to the South Shore of Long Island and going, I know what's going on in California. I know what's going on. No, you don't. You don't even know what's on the friggin' North Shore of Long Island. So you don't know anything. We don't know what's out here. This interesting map that was supposedly found in a Buddhist temple and from 10 centuries ago. It was published in Hawaiian newspaper in 1910, I think. So on one of those ships that we clicked on the get the info about what's the ship doing, what is it, and normally you get all the information. This one, all it told us is what the ship was 580 meters long and 80 meters wide. That's a gigantic ship, and all it said is it was registered to the nation of Kiribati. I probably pronounced that wrong. And so we looked it up and we found it. I can put a pin on it because you can't even see it. It's a tiny little sand atoll in the middle of the South Pacific. And America and China, everyone's like, this is a very important trade route. Very, very, very important trade route. And China gave them $10 billion recently. I think America probably gave them the same. Like, what is going on here? Why do we need to go there? Well, doing some research, when the hive mind is looking into flat Earth, someone else found there's a Captain Cook Hotel on a bed and breakfast, whatever it is, on Kiribati. Captain Cook is the guy that tried to circumnavigate Antarctica, and he went over 68,000 miles, which only makes sense on a flat Earth, but that's interesting. Maybe it's just somebody that's obsessed. So we went and on the ship tracking site and we said, look, there's some active ships at Kiribati. Let's see what they are. And all of their destinations said unknown or Christmas Island. Now, doing some research, some people say Kiribati is called Christmas Island. I found Christmas Island on the other side of Africa. I don't know what that is, but the whole thing about Christmas and the North Pole and Santa and anagrams for what Santa is. And I just found it very perplexing. So the question is, what's going on out there? But real quick, looking at time zones on a ball, North Pole and South Pole, you have 24 lines separating each time zone, like sections of an orange. And as it spins, you have your time zones, right? So you have all these straight time zones, but we have this one at the date line that does this crazy zigzag. Let's zoom in on that. It cuts over 3.5 time zones. Like, why? What is going on here? And guess what's in the most suspicious spot of all? That would be Kiribati, right? So that's kind of like strike 3 or strike 4 for me. Plus, there's a whole bunch of nuke testing stuff that was allegedly going on there. But I say maybe it is an important trade route. Here it is. And they're going out here to the extra lands. Maybe they're trading for technology or weapons or food, tuna fish or children. I don't know, because we're not allowed to go there. But what if there's another trade route from here out here and another one from here out here? How would you ever know? Because you never heard of Kiribati until you heard it from me.
And that right there, that little line there is where Summer's Gate is.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is also seen at the Getty Museum, which is crazy. If you look from above the Getty Museum in LA, they have a huge rock fountain that is set up exactly like the Flat Earth map. And then it's got this exit way that water pours out into another pool that comes exactly out where the Summer's Gate is and then fills out a whole nother ocean. So pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have an image of that, or?
So I can bring it up.
Yeah, pull it up and while I show this. So here's the map of the world, and then they basically just cut it out and they wrapped it around a ball, and they said, you can't go here to this white area at the bottom. You can go to the shoreline. We'll take you right out here, way out here, and that's all you get to see. Yeah. You don't get to see the inside. This is all that there is. Okay, so that's how they literally hid the rest of the world from us, in my opinion. That's my opinion. We want the right to go explore. Have you looked into airships from the past?
I have, previously, but probably not as much as you.
There's airships that are the size of that carry thousands of people on them, like cruise ships, and traveling all over the world. And that technology that has been taken away from us. That has been hidden from us, because if you have an airship that can pull energy out of the air, which there's energy, I challenge anybody, if you have a drone, get some thread thickness copper wire, lightest copper wire you can, a long strand of it, tie it to the drone and have it go up. When that wire is hanging in the air, I challenge you to go grab that wire. It's filled with electricity. You get jolted.
Really?
Yeah, so there's free energy everywhere, but they've taken that away from us. Tesla, did it with his Warden Tower in Long Island, and he was powering the World Fair wirelessly for free. And J.P. Morgan's like, well, what am I going to do with all this copper wire, and how are we going to fleece all the people and make them work for their entire lives to pay for power? You can't have that, and they basically took him out. Jaron, go ahead.
Right.
Yeah, I'll bring this up. 1 second. Which screen is this? So this is the Getty Museum. Oops. 1 second. Okay, there we go. All right. Now let's see. You can see me. Good enough. So you should be able to see it on my screen there. This is the Getty Museum. This is a fountain here, and you'll see that it's got this inside. It's got tall rocks, kind of this about this high, and then there's this exit way that has water that pours over this edge into another pool that goes around. And if you see, if we can kind of exit this up, that pool is almost exactly like the flat Earth map. Well, it's kind of an ugly picture there, but you can see like where Australia would be, and then you get that Summers Gate is right here, which is kind of North America here, South America here, and then this is where about Hawaii would be out this way. So pretty crazy that's their main fountain. And then you've seen the one at the Dave, you remember the place that
in Australia and
I'll find it.
Darling Harbor in
there you go.
Australia.
Yeah, I'll show that. Darling Harbor.
Dave, tell us what Summers Gate is, because it seems significant.
Yeah, so let me
Yeah, if you have that other map,
yeah, I know
Dave,
the other one. So if I just go on the app and you just put in map.
Well, I think I'm sharing real quick. I'll just show this real quick. So this is Darling Park, and they've got in there. Let me see where it's right spot. Maybe that's not where it is, Dave. Is that where it is?
I think so. Like Darling Harbor.
Is that maybe here? I'll find it 1 second. We've seen it before. It's right. Oh, here we go. Wait, maybe it's in this. It's like the little courtyard.
They have the flat Earth map. It's amazing. It's like a pond with the map in it. But here's what Jaron was showing you. Let me
here it is. Here it is. Look at next to the Flower of Life too. Look at this.
Wow.
So now that is cut and dry. The flat Earth map, obviously.
Holy.
Go down here. Oops. Don't do that. Let me see if we can drop down in there. Okay.
Oops.
Not where I wanted to go. Let's try one more time.
Not that far down.
Let's try one more time. Come on, give me just in the park somewhere. Yeah, I don't know if they have any pictures.
Well, it's a perfect flat Earth map.
This is.
Yeah.
With the North Pole, you got the North Pole up top, and you've got all your countries: Australia, Africa, North.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So pretty crazy, and then it's got the Flower of Life. It's a beautiful little park. I mean, this has got the Flower of Life on it. So there you go, Dave.
And so here is where Kiribati would be, and you zoom out. This is what they call the Summer Gate. That maybe the ice wall doesn't go all the way around. Maybe the ice wall, the containment of our water is 1,000,000 miles away, and there's other ponds, right?
I've even heard people postulate that this whole thing about global warming, which seems to be a total hoax, but also people are saying, what if the Earth does get warm every once in a while, and when it does, parts of Antarctica melt and open up fissures that allow people to go through, and that's why their big stress is about keeping the Earth cool, because they don't want those passageways to open and somebody find one.
What if we lived right in the center of that pond right there, and then you zoom out? These are other ponds across the plane, and they might call those planets, a piece of the plane. And so these could be other worlds. Now, I'm not saying this is what is going on. I'm not saying this is what's going on. I'm saying that if the Earth is flat, and we do live in a flat world, which we do, and we live in this pressurized system, the plane could extend way bigger. Our sun is small. There could be other suns out there. Versus,
if that's true, nobody would know. Nobody would know because we're lied to about it, and we're told we live on a ball, and everybody thinks. Imagine how smart that is, because then everybody thinks that everything's been discovered. Right? Nobody's going in and researching anything. Nobody's actually trying to be an explorer and go anywhere, because we've all been convinced. Not through actually going out and determining it for ourselves, but being told, nope, sorry, if you go any direction, you'll come back to where you started. And that's just the way it goes. But if you think about it throughout history, everybody who was in a tyrannical government, they got up and left. That's why the world is populated by people, because they got tired of their governments being overbearing, and they went and started their own governments. And that's the story of how America came to be, right? There was everybody being, taxed and everything in Britain. And so they came over to the new land, started a new country. Well, imagine if there's an infinite amount of places where we could be going.
What if there's
starting our own world?
A million other continents?
Right. So that's we're told, and we just get stuck here and then working as slaves for some psychopaths. And why would the people, if they're out there, why would they ever come back? Why would they want to come and tell us? Because all that's going to happen is that they might get captured or held by these guys or killed. And it's just not going to benefit them at all.
No.
Right. They've already gotten out of here. They've already got.
But it's our little prison, right? I mean, it's essentially they've set up a prison that we don't even know that there's walls.
Did I show you this last time? I call this how would you know, right? So what if we lived in a time where there was no radio, no communication, no nothing, no airplanes. We just had some boats, and we all lived in like they supposedly were in the 1800s. All right. So we take the map of the world and we build a gigantic wall. Donald Trump is his grandfather, great grandfather. He builds this giant wall here, so no one can go beyond that. So we got all Canada and U.S. and there's a wall up here, and this is what they do. So they draw a circle, and they take it and they wrap it around a sphere, and then they put you in school, and they go, "This is your world. This is all that there is, and you're not allowed to go here." So if you take a little boat off of the shoreline and you start going what would be outwards away, but down a ball upside down, you're not allowed to go here because we have to protect the ice and the penguins. Right? You can't do that. This is off limits. Right. So you would know about England and the Australia and Africa. Right. So I say they did the same thing. What if we were here? This is where we live, in the center of this pond. Right. And we have the outer rings, the Lord of the Rings. But read that again. Right. And they cut it out. They wrapped it around a sphere. They literally put you in a prison, and you're like, Truman, there's nothing else to discover. I want to be an explorer. There's nothing else. You're not allowed to go here.
They would be one step away in that instance of having it sewed up. And that's what they did, is they created GPS. Once they did that, they probably wiped their hands and walked away like, you watch how long this will last, because now people can know exactly where they're at on our fake world by having this device. And if we tell them, the device tells them where they're at in the world. So you get people now who say, oh, well, GPS proves that we're on a ball. Well, you can easily ask them, if we lived on a flat world like Dave was showing, and then they wrapped it on a ball, at that point, could, what are they called? Cartographers, could mathematicians, could they project a flat plane onto a ball? The answer is, of course, yes. And then you say from there, could they make GPS? Oh, yes. Okay, great. So now you've got a world that was flat that now is projected onto a sphere, and GPS tells you where you're at on a sphere, but there is no actual sphere.
Why do we use longitude and latitude, X and Y, on a three-dimensional object? Shouldn't there be an X, Y, and a Z axis, for our coordinate system? We're using a flat coordinate system on a three-dimensional object. What's going on there?
Mind blown.
Yeah. You know what? This is mind-blowing, but don't worry, people. When you realize the Earth is flat and you have your mind blown, there's bigger things happening on flat Earth that'll blow your mind even further. So don't worry. You'll be able to have your mind blown again and again and again. Right? Because
there should be enough things to make
good.
Yeah. I was going to say there's enough things that people should start to, torque their head. I mean, the big one for me was, first of all, the east and west being circles. I was always under the impression or thought that, okay, if I go east, I would come back to where I started. And that's why the Earth's a globe, because no matter where you're at on the Earth, if you go east, you'll come back to where you started. And that's not the case. If you go east, you're going to walk in a circle to get back to where you started. And at first, this didn't make sense to me. I said, well, wait a second, but north and south are, well, the weird thing is that people don't even know this. North and south are much different than east and west. North and south are cardinal directions, meaning that if I'm standing north of you, you are directly south of me. And if I'm standing south of you, you're directly north of me. They're always the same, meaning that, if I'm looking south, okay, great, you're south, great, I'm north of you. East and west don't work that way, because if I look at somebody 90 degrees east of me, I'm not 270 west of them, because east and west are circles. But Dave's showing that right here.
Okay.
So look, right here, I'm going to try to dead reckon west, right? So as soon as I go, the needle turns because the magnet's here, I'm going south. If I don't turn, I go in a straight line, I'm going south. All straight lines go south.
Right.
And they'll take you out. But you have to turn. Like, if the center of your town was a giant magnet and you had a compass and that would be pointed towards that giant magnet, you can walk around your town heading east and west and end up right back to where you came. Does that make your town a sphere? Right? But if you go south on a ball, you should end up over here. But no one's ever done it. No one's ever gone from Santiago,
Right.
ended up in Australia. Has never been done. Look, I'm going north. I'm going north. I'm going north. Oops, I'm going south now. I'm still going a straight line. I'm going south. Every straight line is south. South is every direction away from the center.
I'll show this real quick just so you can see what I mean by the difference. Is if this person's here standing looking south, and you can see up here on this thing it's showing when I get to 180, so there's 180 degrees south, right? So if I save that and then go from there, oops, 1 second, okay. Now I go from there back up. Well, that person is definitely 360 degrees to my north because that's how north-south works, right? So if I stay on that same line, you'll see that it's 0 degrees or 360, right, up here. So that's great. That's how north-south works. So you would think east-west work the same. That's the way I was taught.
Should.
Let me see this. So now we go here. Now let's do instead east-west. So now if I go, let's say somebody's in here in LA. Oops, come on. Oops, I accidentally did path. There we go. So if somebody's in LA, why is my thing not working? Clear. All right, let's try again. Line. Now work. Okay, there. So if I go 90 degrees, you'll see it's going to be right about there, right? So that's 90 degrees and 25 miles. So then this person should be 270 to the west because this guy's directly east.
Right,
So if we do that one and we go now, let's go see if he's exactly 270. And we're going to go line. Yes. So now we go here and see this should be exactly 270, but it's 289. 270 is here.
What?
So east and west are certainly not the same. They're locally the same. And if we got down in here and looked at the nitty gritty and said, where's east and west with here? It would be across east and west. But if you kind of zone out and look at the larger picture, you're actually east and west are headed towards the equator. You'll notice from here, this is towards the equator. From here, it's towards the equator. So it's crazy because they've always told us too that, the sun rising east and 90 degrees and setting west at 270 is some sort of proof of the globe, but it's not. It's because on that day where those things set at 90 and 270, rise at 90 and set at 270, is that everybody on Earth is actually looking at the equator. So if I drew lines from here to 70 degrees, 270 for everybody, you'll see that they're all going to be looking in the same direction. So it isn't proof of a globe.
Wow. It's a proof of flat.
Yeah, I mean, there's some issues with it with flat, but the sky explains most of it as far as, us thinking that there's a atmospheric dome that kind of bends the things in the sky.
Yeah.
We don't see everything in the same location, right? So your sun is different in a different location in the sky than my sun. So there's a lot of things that still need to be uncovered.
Dave, one more thing before we go. Can you explain, because it kind of perplexed me, but how the sun goes around, like if you're talking about flat Earth and how the sun goes around, and now you have a demonstration that you use on your app.
What is good? Who's ringing? Oh, sorry about that. My Skype was ringing. Like, what is going on? So this is my app. It's called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. All my stuff, my links, you want to book me for a show, you want anything, everything, including the summit, which we're going to talk about, which all of you that are listening to this that are interesting, you need to go to. It's a week from this Friday on December 8th and 9th. Jaren's going to tell you about that in a minute. But everything will be found at flatearthdave.com. Everything. That's all you have to remember. Don't remember any other websites, flatearthdave.com. So here is the sky is a clock. It's the perfect clock. And, what's the finest timepiece keeping instrument in the world? People, well, it's got to be a Swiss watch. Well, guess what? The sky clock's more accurate. You know why? Because the Swiss watch is set to the sky clock. That's what time is based off of the sky clock. So we live in this crazy gravitational beehive, but somehow it keeps perfect time. Makes no sense. The sun is the hour hand. I'll speed it up. It goes around once every 24 hours. It keeps track of the hours and the days. Perfect. It laps the moon once every 28, 29 days. So the moon and its phase and its position keep track of the weeks and the months. There used to be 13 months of 28 days, and then 1 day reset equals 365. So,
okay.
So that's how the sun goes around. And it also migrates out to the Tropic of Capricorn out here and into the Tropic of Cancer in here. So when it's in here, it's our northern summer because the sun is closer. Closer sun is warmer sun. Farther, right now it's heading out to December. The people out in Australia, it's going to go right over Australia. It's going to be nice and hot in Australia. That's where they have their summer. And then if we turn the stars on, the stars are going just slightly faster than the sun. So they'll lap the sun, but it takes 365 times around. So the stars keep track of the seasons and the years. It's way simpler than the crazy, ridiculous globe where we're traveling 186 million miles from one side of the sun to the other. We're traveling 4.4 billion miles a year, never to return to where we were before. We're curving. All the other stars are moving in all their directions, but some reason they never change. They're always the same. They're right.
And we have such a difference.
Yeah.
We have such a difference north and south. And if Dave shows you here, see that map. I mean, on this map, you would have a difference north and south because the north is getting that sun that gets close to it, right? And then it migrates out, and you would expect the outside to be colder. And that's exactly what we see. And then there's no animals that live in the south, just the penguins and maybe a couple birds. But in the north, there's penguins. There's polar bears, there's squirrels, elk, deer, you name it, all kinds of animals, hundreds. And in the south, there's no, even Captain Cook said there wasn't a twig to use as a toothpick. So there's not even like bushes or little trees or little branches growing anywhere out there. But in the north, everything grows.
If we lived on a ball, there would be at equal latitudes north and equal latitudes south, there would be equal life, equal temperatures, equal everything. And it's not. It's not that case at all. The inner north, as Jaron was saying, has some more life, animals, plants, and trees. And out south, there's nothing. There's nothing after, was it 65 degrees south or maybe a little farther? I'm not sure.
Even before that.
Yeah. So on a ball, there'd be symmetry. There's not. And we're also doing an experiment right now. Like people say, well, when the sun's in here, it goes around once a day, making this small circle. And out here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the sun's out here in December. It's making a bigger circle in the same amount of time. So it has to be going faster. What makes it speed up and slow down? Well, the hour hand is going the same speed. It's just out here and it's going faster. And we're doing some measurements now where people are measuring from sunset to darkness, sunset to pitch black. And everywhere in the world, it's getting shorter and shorter. If the earth was a ball, it would be getting longer and longer in December for people out south, because in June, we have like 90 minutes of light after the sun sets. So in December, they should have 90 minutes of light. They don't. Now they have everyone, no matter where you are topographically and latitudinally, you would have different amounts of daylight, but the time from sunset to darkness is what we're measuring. And
right, some days might be, local weather might, there's clouds on a certain day or it's clear certain days, so you might get it more or less. But we've noticed that the trend is certainly in that direction, meaning that if somebody in June starts, figures out what it is, and then somebody in December, everybody on Earth will report the same thing, that there's less time after sunset in December, which shouldn't be the case. It should be flip-flopped opposite for the south than it is the north. Not everybody on Earth going through the same thing, but if you look at the flat Earth map, everybody on Earth is going through the same thing. Right. Going through either the sun being faster or the sun being slower.
Yeah, and I was just watching an old Rob Skiba video, and he had video. Some guy went to the Tropic of Cancer and filmed the moon when the moon was on the Tropic of Cancer, and then filmed the moon when the moon was on the Tropic of Capricorn. And he put his camera up, and the moon moved across his camera frame at a faster speed over the Tropic of Capricorn, proving that.
Really, I never seen that.
Yeah, no, I just saw that. I'm trying to find the original, but I'll send it to you. It went from one side of the screen to the other faster. So that's very.
I didn't even think of doing that. That's actually brilliant. Yeah, it's because I was always thinking, how could you? Because it's still doing 15 degrees an hour, which is why this is what the Globe Earth always wants to do too. Is they want to change the way you word things. Like when they talk about the spin of the Earth, they don't want you to talk about in linear speed by miles per hour, because that's insane. That the equator is going 1,000 miles per hour and somebody at the North Pole is going 0. Right. You would think if you flew in a plane and got from one place to the other, you would certainly notice the difference. If I was just moving 1,000, now I'm moving 50. Right. But that doesn't happen. So they're able to just basically explain all that away. It's just all that they've ever done is basically they have they call it rotations per day. So they say, no, it's 1 rotation per day. Well, yeah, if you're looking at it that way, of course, they're both the same. They both rotate once per day. But the problem with that is the linear speed is the difference, right? So they always say, like, well, imagine a carousel. If a carousel went around once a day, you wouldn't feel it was moving. And that's true. But a carousel also has, 200-foot circumference, not a 24,901 mile circumference, which necessitates you going 1,000 miles per hour. Now make that carousel 24,901 miles in circumference, and then flip that on at 1,000 miles per hour, and you'll see that everything on the edges would fly off.
Right.
It's moving 1,000 miles per hour linear speed. So they don't want to say that. They always want to say, it's rotations per day.
It's going 1,000 miles an hour, and it's curving a mile, like off its trajectory. People go, you don't notice that when I'm on an airplane, I can drink water and I can go up and go to the bathroom. I say, you want to compare the movement of an airplane to the slowest movement of the Earth, which is the spin. First, you have to double the speed of the airplane because it's only going 500 miles an hour. Then you have to take the outside of the airplane off because there is no cover over the globe, and you have to nose down faster than a free-falling skydiver. And then let me know how your water's doing, and you probably don't even need to go to the bathroom anymore because you went in your pants.
And I still believe, and I'm pretty sure this is the case, that if you're on a plane or a train, I used to take a train to school for 3 years of my high school, and you can walk faster in one direction than the other. It's a known thing. And They pretend like it doesn't. They pretend like that because it wouldn't be. If that's the case, then every pole jumper and every long distance runner and every long jump runner would always ask to run to the west because, of course, they're coming that direction.
Yeah,
but they don't.
There's a great video by Matt Long, my former co-host. Not my former co-host. We're still a co-host on the Flat Earth podcast. We just haven't done an episode in 2 years.
5 years.
Yeah, but it's coming. It's coming very soon. He was like nearly a pro tennis player, and he did a thing about Coriolis and tennis players and how they would have to react to it if it was a thing. And it's actually a genius video. So check it out. That's on the app. On the frequently asked questions section, and if you go down to where is it? Frequently asked questions. You go down to Coriolis. There's a Coriolis button somewhere on there, and then you'll find it. Where is it? Oh, Coriolis, right up here. Bam. So, and there's great videos on there. So the app will answer all of your questions. Like, excuse me, the app will answer all the questions you have. And I tell people, if your audience is listening and they're like, these guys are crazy. I used to think that when I first heard it too. I'm offering, I must be crazy because I'm offering 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. If we live on a physical ball, you should be able to physically somehow prove that we live on a ball, spinning, whirling, and twirling, and you win 3 Bitcoins. Not going to happen because we don't live on a ball. So
I'll show you the comment if you want.
Good.
I have one question before we go on here, and one statement. So, Dave, you mentioned a video with a 102-year-old woman that was taught the flat Earth.
Yes.
Is that on your app, or is that something that you have to dig up?
No, it's on my YouTube channel. But now the app has a video search, so you click the little thing and just type in Ruth. Let's see if this works. Live performance, and you type in Ruth, and let's go. And it should be there. Ruth, come on, Ruth.
Ruth, where are you?
It's wow. Thought it would come right up. Did I not type Ruth right? Ruth?
I don't think Ruth would have been in the title though. What didn't you say? Like 103-year-old woman? Or
let's write 102. Let's see what happens. Type in 102 year.
While you're doing that, I want to tell everybody that the roof on your lid is something that we need to talk about because you mentioned it before. But go ahead and talk about Ruth.
So this is Ruth, and I interviewed her from. I was interviewing her about the World's Fairs, and her memory was so good. And I said, "What did they teach you in science class in elementary?" I asked her where she went to elementary school. Knew the name, knew the teacher, knew the road, the school, everything. Was in Hamden, Connecticut, public school. And she goes, "They taught me the Earth was flat in the 1920s." And we're like, wow. So, and when I told her that the Earth was, we're at the center of creation, everything, she broke down in tears. It was like the most emotional thing ever. Like all the comments, go look at the comments on the video. Everyone's like, I was watching it, but something got stuck in my eye, and some water's leaking from my eye. I'm not sure why that is. And it literally, and I've been talking to her for a couple of years since then, and she is so happy to know, because she's a Bible believer. And she just, likes to know that, hey, we are at the center of creation, whether you believe in the Bible or not, doesn't matter. We are at the center of creation is what's going on. Speaking of the Bible, this Friday, December 2nd in Tennessee, there's a big Bible debate. Greg Locke, who has the Global Ministries Bible Church, a giant mega church, he had a meltdown about flat Earth because a lot of his people came up and were pushing flat Earth, and he's like, Earth is not flat. It's not in the Bible. So he's having this huge debate. All sorts of media is going to be there. People are flying in from all over the world to it. It's going to be thousands of people there. It's going to be crazy. You're going to be live streaming it. But if you have the app, you'll get a pop-up on Saturday that'll tell you, give you the live stream to watch it. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible.
It sounds biblical.
It is going to be biblical. And Jaron, you know who's coming? Jeffrey Doherty's coming.
He's going to be there?
He's coming. Yes. It's going to be crazy. So that's something. So talk about the hat real quick, and then more importantly, the summit. If you want to learn about health freedom, if you want to learn about flat Earth, if you want to learn about so many things that are going to improve your life, this is the greatest thing ever. It's a virtual summit. If you can't come to things like the thing in Tennessee or Flattoberfest in Vegas that we just had, this is going to be great. But on the app, if you go to the shopping cart, right now there's a little pop up for this. This is the real tinfoil hat. And it's right here. It's the Shop Sparrow. This is by the guy that did the movie about chemtrails called Frankenskies. Write that down, Frankenskies, and you need to watch that about the spraying of the skies. But this hat, here's another one. It has this silver lining in it. It's literally a Faraday cage. This one has the same. And when I put it on, I have to tell you, I feel calmer. Now, is it all in my head? Pun intended. I'm pretty sure that it is literally, because I open up my phone, there's Wi-Fi, there's like 10, 15, 20 different Wi-Fis coming at me from all over, let alone a cell tower. So it is the true tinfoil hat. And I love it. They're actually high quality hats, and I highly recommend. Great Christmas gifts. You know what to get your kids, your wife, your friends, buy a ton of these hats. And they also have clothing. The shorts are amazing. And what do I get from it? I get the joy of knowing that people are protecting themselves from Wi-Fi. I get nothing from this. The things on the shopping section here are things that I love and have tested and use. That's all that's on here. And 90% of them are flat Earth related, all sorts of stuff. But more importantly, right here, the Mount Meru Summit. Jaron, I'll let you take it from there and tell them what it's all about.
Thanks. Yeah, if they go to trueearther.com, or they can go to Flat Earth Dave, that was an easy way, but trueearther.com, and you get to the page. We're having a 2-day event, December 8th and 9th. It is a virtual event or at home event, so you just get to watch from wherever, your bed or your bathtub or your backyard, whatever you want. And you can also watch it after the event. So if you can't watch it live, you get it forever. And there's some great presentations. Going to be helping people get centered, but we've got a lot of people would recognize David Avocado Wolf and Foundering, Dr. Amanda Vollmer, Stephen Dragon. People know Justin Harvey from his work on vaccines, Dr. Kelly Brogan. You guys know Dave Weiss. Music from Deepak, Dr. Andy Kaufman, if people know him from recent, Mike Winter from Alphavetic, Jen Isabel is going to be there, Jay Tolan Media. If you don't know Jay Tolan, actually have this up over here. Jay Tolan has done some of the best work with infrared, and he'll be presenting. You'll see here. This is
I've seen that stuff.
Yeah, Mount San Jacinto, which we would never see before. We would just see this. People would assume this is the edge of the world, and really, if you look back behind there, because of the infrared, we can see these mountains that would be way behind the curve on a globe Earth. So he's done tremendous work, and we'll be presenting there. So we've got him. We've got Stellium 7, who does some fantastic stuff. It really opens some people's eyes. Ira Landucci always does great work. Alan from Space Audits, his first time presenting. He's been awesome. And Austin Whitsitt and I are putting it on, hosting it. So yeah, it's a great 2-day event, and it's basically both full days, and we have comedy at the end of it, and we've got some raffles to give away, and you get a gift bag, and it's cheap. It's $50 to go. Again, it's 2 days, and you actually get to select when you go through the process who you want to support from this group, and basically they get half of the proceeds. So we do it so that we give back to those who are doing great work. They present something nice, we give back to them, and then at the same time providing kind of a roundup for most people that maybe don't have time to watch all of our stuff. Now you get to get kind of the best of each of these people, and we do it about every 4 months right now. We're doing 3 a year. So yeah, this is the Mount Meru. It's our second annual, and we hope you come out and check it out and support these people doing great work. You'll definitely walk away learning something totally new and seeing that it's not just Dave and I talking about it. It's all these people that are.
And just that.
I just want to clarify. So it's virtual, right? I mean, you're not you're not actually having to go anywhere. You can just buy the ticket ahead of time and just click in and
And if you want
watch
to
it
do,
whenever
if you
you feel.
want to do
Yeah.
VIP, you can be in the Zoom and ask questions live, or you can just be in the
great.
chat. You know, be in the chat. They kind of monitor chat. It's super fun, amazing. And that top row right there, Amanda Vollmer, you can't even like. You're basically getting her private time for this, and her private time is very expensive. It's the greatest deal ever. I told Jaron he should raise the price, but he's like, nope, I want more people there. And it's good. And when you sign up, did you tell them that they have to? You select who you want to support, David Weiss, and half the ticket money goes to that person, and it's just a great way to support people in the truth movement, because you know that we're highly supported when we go out there and put our lives on the line. Right. You know, you get highly compensated. I'm sure you know, right?
We also accept all these different crypto coins, so it's good if somebody wants to do private. You can do Monero, you can do
that's great.
Lots of them, you know, Ether, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Tron, you can name them forever. But yeah, when you go and pick one, let's say we're going to do Doom Die, as soon as you get here, it's basically put your email in, and then here's a select from this list of who you want to support. So Jay Tolan Media, David Weiss is right there. I'm sure people want that to be auto selected, and then split by everyone. You can do that as well, and if you pick that one, it would just be the half of the proceeds split between everybody who's presenting. So we do it in a way. And then also you get a coupon bag where we basically get a bunch of people to submit coupons for their stores, whether it be, you know, maybe they've got a Truth Apparel store, or maybe they've got a Bug Out store. And we give coupons to both the general attendants and the VIPs. VIPs get slightly better deals. And that way we kind of make it so it's $50, but you'll actually be making more than that, as weird as that sounds. You'll get more than that in savings that you would, you know, I provide consultations for different services, and I give 50% off that. So if you buy the ticket for $50 right away, you've already made that money back if you use my coupon at all for the next year. So it's kind of like that, but on a bigger scale. There's lots of people providing coupons. So we try to make it so that it's beneficial to everybody. It is called Mount Meru 2. We had Mount Meru 1 last year. And and then also I just want to show on this homepage here, we also have a special
lots of value.
Yeah, and then Conspiracy Music Guru, if people don't know who he is, Alex Michael does great work. He's got 5 albums that he's put out over the past, whatever that's been, 5 years or 6 years. And he's selling them all right now for $23 on our site only. You come here and click this, and then basically it's going to give you a link when you buy it to all the songs on MP3, plus all the album art, plus some extras, some videos, things like that. So he's all for $23. It would cost much more. I forgot how much, like $60 or something on his site. And he's just doing it for the year 23 and for the summit special. So if people are interested in getting his music, you would have it all. You could have it all in 5 minutes. Just go over here and go to that item for $23, and you'd be listening to his music in a second. So that's it.
Nice. And so I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be great. I'm not presenting, but I'm on a panel, and the question and answer panel is always fun at the end of the night for this Friday night, right?
Yeah, Friday night.
Nice.
Well, that's going to be great.
If you haven't heard of Foundering's awesome. He's like who's the guy's name that used to do the music back in the day, like 50s or 60s? Tom Lerner, I think his name is, something like that. He's a satirist. They kind of make fun of different songs, and he does great work. He actually got kicked off YouTube. He's only on Odyssey now, but if you ever heard the song Speed of Science, is done by him. Anyway, he's great, and he'll be presenting some music on Friday nights as well.
Oh, that's amazing. That's going to be fantastic. Was there something else that you're going to show there, Dave?
No, I'm just going to show, for those of you that are doubting on this, and we all have the same story. We all ridiculed it, refused to look at it. And they're like, well, flat Earth is stupid. These are the people that have my app, right? Let's just zoom into the East Coast here. These are the people that have my app. I think it represents less than 1% of the flat earthers in the world. And they're everywhere, and they're not going away. Once you wake up to flat Earth, you never can go back, and then you start seeing the world for what it is, and you start freeing yourself from the matrix. And I guess the term is the hive mind. When enough people know something, you figure out everything. Right. You have a fishbowl of jelly beans, and you have a ton of people guess. Take the mean number; it's within 1 or 2 jelly beans of the exact number. It's amazing how the hive mind works. When you have enough people, and we have enough people looking at flat Earth, it would have been taken apart if it was a CIA, Department of Defense, psyop to discredit truthers. It's not, and it's growing faster and faster. And I feel that it is the solution for freeing us from their system. If we play on their game board, with their monopoly money, we have to follow their rules. We need to get off their game board. We need to get off their fake money, and we need to make our own rules.
And they prove to you every day that they are not to be trusted. I mean, if you remember like a month or two ago or something, they said, oh, this tornado is going to hit, or hurricane's going to hit California. And it was on the news for weeks, and it was, days, and it was like, prepping for this, and then nothing ever happened. It was like nothing, even a little wind. But then what happened to Acapulco in Mexico happens, and they don't report on it at all. So This is what they do, is they lie to you, and they make you worry, and they make you fear. And then when something actually does happen, then they don't even inform you about it. So this should tell people that these people are not on your side. They're actually actively against you. And when they're the ones telling you that flat earth is the stupidest belief in the world, and they're calling each other flat earthers and saying we don't have time for the flat earth society, why do you think that is? Do you really think it's because that just happens to be the dumbest belief in the world? And if it is, why are so many people looking into it and then coming to the conclusion that it has more merit than the spinning water ball flying through space at 1.2 million miles per hour, and that these great men of science can look in a little tube with glass and see back in time? That's what they're telling you. And people are like, oh, I believe it. And they can date rocks, and they know the age of the earth. And if you just shed that worry about people thinking less of you because you don't believe the same as them, you'll quickly realize that you're believing in lies, and they might be comfortable, but they're lies.
Well, it's crazy. Obviously, we talked about this before. It's a crazy time, and they're using, when you question something like this, they're using that as a derogatory term to diminish anything that you say, right? Obviously, they just call you a flat earther to try and discredit you and take you out of the game, right?
Neil deGrasse Tyson, the high priest of scientism, he says we don't have time to talk to flat earthers. Obama said that in his speech. We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. He wants you to go to the Flat Earth Society. That's not us. That is government-run disinformation. But Neil deGrasse Tyson says he doesn't have time to talk to us. But for the last 5 years or longer, he's been making video after video after video after video, straw-manning us. Straw-manning means saying that flat earthers believe this stupid thing and making it like how stupid it is. And guess what? Yeah, it is stupid. Everything he's saying is stupid because it's not what we do. It's that, they show you Google flat Earth in space, and you're going to see a disc with water flowing off of it. Nobody thinks that we're a flat, that's flat Earth. We're a pond on a plane.
Yeah, we don't think we're in space.
Right.
We don't think we're floating through space. There's somebody else who believes that you can float in nothing. You're just floating in nothing. It's just crazy. It's because, and I think it's all atheists, really. It's people who got upset at the idea of a creator, and they just, rather than, what did they create? They created that nothing created everything. So they were so against the idea of God creating everything, they changed it to nothing created everything. Yep. And that's what's leading evolution. And that's what we have to look forward to when we die, is all nothing. That's why we're flying through nothing.
They're hiding the creator. And, for me to say that after, I used to be, I would call myself an atheist back, long before I discovered flat earth. They're hiding the fact that we're at the center of creation, that we have great power. They're putting us on their fake globe. So we have to play with their rules versus have our divinity, have our free share of this world, and understand what it is and what it was and our true potential. They don't want that. They want a class of workers, not thinkers. So,
well, isn't that the basis of all of what we've talked about so far? And every time is that they want to get rid of Christianity. They're trying to destroy Christianity and bring in their own science. It's a classic tactic of pulling down a society, basically creating a Marxist society where they're in control and we're just the worker slaves, right?
And one of the
problems, and then we they supply the answers, right? So if we need, the only time you need government is when there's disagreements between people. If everybody got along and everything was working great, then you wouldn't need a government. So they have to be the ones who actually make the problems, because if they get rid of problems, then they're getting rid of their own jobs. So we should just be smart enough to recognize that people don't do that. It's the same thing when a pharmaceutical company wants to give you some sort of injection that says, now you won't get sick. Now you won't make us money. You would have made us money. You would have been sick and come into the hospital system, but now we're going to give you this medicine that you won't get sick. It's insane. Well, why would any company be like Oreos making cookies that make you not like Oreo cookies? If that starts happening, we should be questionable about Oreos making cookies that are supposed to make us not like cookies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is, sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, I forgot what I was going to say. I had a good point, but it'll come back. Go ahead. You first.
Well, I was just going to say that this is the basis of all of it is that so people that are questioning the Earth and the globe, they're not just questioning the Earth and the globe. They're questioning everything because really what we are is we've been lied to about everything is what I'm understanding.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, one of the wizard tricks that they do is they've hijacked the word science. They say flat earthers are anti-science and we're science. The truth is they're pseudoscience. They have no science. There's no science of the globe. There's none whatsoever. They just use the word science. We registered, science is repeatable, observable, testable, measurable. And they don't use it at all. They just make up stuff and call it science. They go, well, we're science. You know, Bill Nye, the lying guy with the bow tie is who you're trusting. Are you kidding me? He's a failed comedian.
I just love your names of them. That's phenomenal.
You actually have Michio Kaku saying that nobody in his business, nobody in his field uses the so-called scientific method, which is hilarious because the actual definition of pseudoscience is science pretending to be science that doesn't go through the scientific method. Yet we've got somebody saying all theoretical physics, because he says nobody in his business, nobody in his field uses the scientific method. So he's admitting that if they don't use the scientific method, if it's all flying by the seat of your pants, if it's just guesswork, if it's just theories, then you are doing pseudoscience. So they like to just turn it and say, oh, flat earthers are doing pseudoscience, even though we don't do anything of the type, right? Like 97% of the known universe right now is said to be dark matter and dark energy, which means that they don't know what it is. They just made up a term for it. I mean, that's insane. It's not part of science at all. And it would be like us. You won't hear us saying, if you ask Dave, what keeps the sun and moon up on the flat earth? It's the literal equivalent of us saying dark lift. And then you saying, oh, what's that? Well, we know that there's something keeping it up there. So we're going to call it dark lift and we're going to move on. That's what the globe gets away with. And they act like they're just, everything's perfect. 97% of the universe right now is a placeholder in mathematics. It's dark matter and dark energy, something that's never been seen, never been tested, never been found. Yet they just know it must be there. Well, that's not how science works. We can't just say we know it must be there, so we're just going to call it dark lift.
Bruce,
now, why not just say you know?
Never lend Neil deGrasse Tyson $100 because he'll only pay you back $4 and say the other 96 are dark money, dark dollars. So you have it, but he's only give you $4 and he's going to say he's paid up in full. So just don't do it.
We'll find it eventually. It's there for now, though.
Yeah, it has to be
like that. It's just like we don't straw man the globe. We don't ever say. You won't ever hear me making up fake things about the globe. I won't say they think we're flying, 99 trillion miles per hour. No, because their actual belief is absurd that they think we're flying 1.2 million miles per hour and that we're flying around the sun at 66,600 miles per hour. Like I'm not straw manning them. Yet everything, if you listen to their side, is all a straw man. They take what we actually say, they find some part of it that they can twist, and then they say, look how stupid this is. We know this isn't true, but all of their proofs are not actual proofs. They're simply, the kind of proof where if I said, well, we expect on a globe that we would see the sun rise top first and see the sun set bottom first. So, and then we go look and we see the sun do exactly that. So therefore we're on a globe. That's everything that they have, which is not how you do science. That's called a logical fallacy. Just because you can always be wrong on that, right? If this and then that doesn't necessarily mean that the first thing happened, right? So you can say, if it rains, it gets wet.
Jaren's in California. I'm in Connecticut. Jaren, if you went outside right now, could you see my house?
No, I couldn't.
Earth is a globe then. There's curvature. Earth is a globe.
Right.
You can't see my house. That's it.
The reason it's there behind it. Yeah. If we can't see his house, then it must be because of curve.
Okay. One last thing, because I know you guys always sort of touch on this, is that the distance between the two of you, how far down are you if you're actually using globe math? Oh, it's how far down under the curve?
How far between across the United States? Because just in Kansas, from one end of Kansas, what is it?
721 miles of curve between Dave and I.
721 miles below the curve is what you presumably would have to be.
In Kansas, from one end of Kansas to the other, I'm not sure that. One end of Kansas to the other would show 40 miles of curvature. I think that's right. Is it 40 miles or 20? I think it's 40 miles. This balloon is only 20 miles up. So the curvature from Kansas is twice the height of this balloon.
Right.
You can't even fathom what that is. I mean, try to lift up Kansas to make it go up the height. I mean, if your plane was flying up this high, you'd crap yourself. Okay, so
we,
that's the alleged curvature from one end of Kansas to the other. It's so
just to make sure
so,
I'm right about that, yes.
here's the thing.
Absurd.
They make it so absurd that you just short circuit and go, well, I can't figure that out because I don't have a degree. I got to,
Right.
I got to trust the high priestess of scientism.
I was wrong. It's 789 miles, Dave.
Okay.
And crazy number. It's a lot of curve, right? You could just do the miles squared times 8 and then divide that by 12 and divide by 5280 to get your answer. But one that I saw the other day that I thought was incredible is if you took the sun, which is supposed to be 867,000 miles wide, which is insane. We can see it up in the sky. It looks generally pretty small. But if we took the sun and we shrunk it down to a golf ball, right, which would be keep the Earth on like a grain of sand, basically. But where do you think that the next sun would be? So
the next star.
The stars are supposedly suns. The next star, right? How far do you think away it is? If we take this sun, shrink it down to a golf ball, now it's a golf ball. How far would the next golf ball be? What would your guess be from that golf ball? 100 yards, 1 mile? What do you think? From a golf ball.
In scale.
Any guess?
Bruce?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. My guess would be in the next state.
Right. It's 750 miles. So that's literally the top of California to the bottom. So imagine that we have little tiny people that live on the little tiny grain of sand, which is already impossible to even fathom. We can't get on a grain of sand. But little tiny people there that are so smart that they're able to tell you the distances and the gases and everything that's going on with a golf ball that's the state of California away. I mean, it's just stupid. It's absurd. You have to just give up. Yeah, you just have to give up all your senses. This is what they want from you, right? This is total submission to the system when you actually believe that you're spinning. And you don't even just believe it, you'll go make fun of other people. There's people that will laugh in our face, probably spit in our face because they were told something and we don't believe what they were told.
Well, we've seen it before. I mean, we've seen it in the history, but we've seen it over the last 3 years. As soon as you have a belief that goes against the agenda, then you are, discredited. You're isolated. You're all the other things. Go ahead, Dave.
Bruce, this ball is flat. There is no curvature to this ball because there's no curvature, right? If you have a sphere, spheres must be flat like the Earth. Because this is a view of these mountains that are over 700 miles away, 8 of them, 700 miles away. From this altitude, using globe math, our globe math, the tops of these mountains should be over 40 miles below the physical curve. A physical curve.
40 miles.
40 miles below. But we can see almost the whole mountain. But you can't, these mountains in the front are blocking the bottoms of those mountains because things get smaller. When you understand how perspective works, I encourage people to go to my channel, go to get my app, go to my website, and just watch the videos. On my channel, DITRH stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. I have all short videos, like 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and just go through a whole bunch of them, and then you'll start to see. And the whole why the lie is the most important thing, because when you wake up to flat Earth, to the reality of this world, you start unplugging from the matrix. This is a spiritual war that we're in, and they're taking our energy. They're literally taking our energy, taking our divinity, taking our lives, keeping us sick, keeping our minds small, and not letting us connect. Keeping the population down. That's all another thing. I believe that there used to be a lot more people here on Earth back before whatever happened in the 1800s.
Interesting. Guys, I know that we're at the end of our time here, so I want to say thank you. Jaron, you want to just throw out your website before we take off?
Sure, yeah. Jeranism.com. On YouTube, it's Jeranism, Jeranism. And check us out. Go to Flat Earth Dave. You can find me from there too. And just hope to see you at the summit, which will be December 8th and 9th next weekend. And go to trueearther.com. Thank you.
Fantastic. And Dave, we can't go to DITRH anymore. We go to Flat Earth Dave. We direct all the energy to flatearthdave.com.
All my social media is there. If you want to book me for a show, if you want to find the summit, if you want to find, I'm actually speaking at Acapulco this year in February in Acapulco. If you want to have another amazing in-person event that's looking for a vacation, that's the place to go. All the links are there. Everything's there. If you want to find out that Elon Musk is not our savior and he's a fraud, click the Elon Musk banner on my website. If you want to look at the crash course, you don't want to get the app, that's fine. Just go to the crash course. Watch those videos. Awaken yourself. Unplug from the matrix. And life only gets better and better. It's amazing.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys, so much for joining me on Unscrew the News. God bless, and let's make the world I guess, a truer place. I was going to say better, but let's say truer.
Nice. Thank you.